Welcome back to Morning Live. My name is Nick Modimba. Of course, again, our sign language interpreter has now, of course, changed, and it's now Mr. Michael Maivia. Of course, now, as I told you, we want to touch about volunteerism and membership at the Kenya Red Cross Society. It's very important for people out there, especially the youth, who are actually now, the statistics, as I keep on saying, is not really good for us. And trust me, when you get involved into this volunteerism work with the Kenya Red Cross, is very, very important for your profile and, of course, just for your all well-being and morally also to keep you very busy, and so much will be happening. I'm joined by Bona Alex Ayub from the Kenya Red Cross Society. He'll be telling us through, as a young man, he was part of it, started off with it from the ground. Yes. And of course, good to see you today in the morning.
Thank you so much, Nick.
All right. A youth watching right now and feels to be part of this team, volunteers. Sometimes when you say volunteerism actually is something that many people think, wow, the bigger picture, I won't be paid. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'll volunteer, there's no stipend, I'll be trekking back home, it's kind of difficult. Yeah. But for you, what was your bigger picture when you came on board?
Yeah, thank you so much, Nick. When it comes to the whole concept around volunteerism, I remember back then when I was joining active volunteerism with the Kenya Red Cross, I was just a first year back in 2012. And it was all about seeing that, look, I have some free time and I believe there's something about me that I may have and someone actually might need it. But then the question is, how do you link that person who has a certain skill or a certain experience with the person who actually needs it in the community? Then Kenya Red Cross came in as this platform that basically does that linking as the platform. And one thing that I've come to realize is that when it comes to volunteerism, the concept has always been around volunteerism, there's no payment.
Yeah, sure.
And it's true, volunteerism, there's no payment for what you do. But what comes with it, the benefits of being a volunteer itself, especially for a young person who is just starting in terms of experiencing life and getting to know, picking career paths and all that. Volunteerism has much more to benefit that particular individual, especially when taken in the right platform and when taken with the right mindset.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, what drove you to be a volunteer at the Kenya Red Cross?
So, talking about Red Cross, I started with Red Cross a long time ago. That is when I was still in high school, in the Red Cross clubs. And of course, afterwards, after I finished my high school, I actually decided then let me go and join Red Cross in Isiolo County, because I'm from Isiolo County. And then used my services there. And then when time came to join a university in Nairobi, I came and then joined Kenya Red Cross Nairobi County again. And the major thing for me was just the fact that I'm able to get an opportunity to touch a life somewhere. And the greatest payment for me was the satisfaction that at the end of the day, I'm going home knowing that I've given a skill or a service or my time or a resource that is going to impact somebody's life positively somewhere in the community. Yes.
Wow, interesting. For someone watching right now and wants to be a member, a volunteer for that matter, what's the process?
All right. One of the easiest things to do today in Kenya is to become a volunteer with the Kenya Red Cross. And the reason why I'm saying it's one of the easiest is because it's free. No, you don't pay anything to become a volunteer. Number two, you don't need any qualifications. We don't have any academic qualifications or pegged to you volunteering. Number three, the reason is that it's available across all our 47 counties, the opportunity. Because then we have Kenya Red Cross branches in all the 47 counties. Some counties actually have more than one Red Cross office. That means that anyone who feels that they want to become a volunteer and you say that, okay, I am free, I am willing, and I'm able to go and volunteer and give my services for particular duration, then I can go to this particular branch. So it's available across all our 47 counties. The other thing that it's worth noting is then that, like I'm saying, it's on a free time, free will basis. So when you're free and when you're willing. So it's very flexible. It's the first time you're hearing someone telling you, come and work with us as a volunteer, and at the same time, when you're free.
Wow.
Yes.
Interesting. Interesting. Now, the payment issue, as a volunteer, some people think, as I started the conversation, how did you manage now to be convinced that indeed, let me just push this agenda and the pay will come later on? How was it for you now?
It's true. Coming from the youth office, I work with the Kenyan youth every single day. And one thing that we must admit is then that the situations are different, economic times are changing, and it's very difficult for a young person to just say then that you're going to give your services at a time when probably all you needed is a source of income.
Sure.
But one thing that I can always tell people is that especially at a young age, you still have, probably you're in university, you still have some stipends coming either from the institutions or the loan givers, or sometimes you have some money coming in from your parents. You have some sort of support, especially for a young person in universities or you just cleared high school. It's very important then that when you're still having that kind of income, you give, because you have some source of income where you can get food, or probably you have some place where you're staying, but the other thing that you have in plenty is time.
Sure.
So that is the one thing that I usually tell people, this is the best investment that you have. It's actually an investment. It's like when someone has money and say, okay, I want to put it here, probably in 5 years' time, in 1 year's time, it will have given me this kind of returns.
True.
So the time that young people have is the best thing that you can do with it is invest it in volunteerism. And when you invest it with volunteerism, it might not be easy. I'll be honest with you. It's not easy just saying every single day, especially when your friends say, I want to go and give my services. It's never easy. But one thing you should always keep in mind is then that it's an investment. And it comes in many, many ways. Definitely.
Now, is there any pay?
There is no payment.
Okay.
For volunteerism.
Now, there must be something that's actually...
Yes.
It's the, kuna kitu.
Yes.
Ni iko, sindio?
So what I actually said,
I
I think one of the things I can always make clarification is what we usually say is that we don't call it payment, we call it reimbursements. And reimbursements basically means reimbursing costs that have been incurred in the course of volunteerism. In most cases, you realize these costs come in form of either transportation or probably lunch.
So
when
they have
in
to
the field.
facilitate your
Yes.
volunteerism.
Yes, at Kenya Red Cross we facilitate your
Yeah,
volunteerism.
okay. Now, joining has been made easy, of course, even from the app you can join.
Exactly.
Now, tell us more about that.
So with of course technology is changing and new things are coming in, and Kenya Red Cross Society has always ensured that then we are also moving with the emerging trends and the technological advancements, and that's why we have put volunteerism very easy, where you can actually subscribe to be a volunteer from your phone. All you need to do is to have the Kenya Red Cross app. And then when you have the Kenya Red Cross app, you log in with your details, and then eventually you'll be able to get tabs that are talking about whether you want to be a member, you want to be a volunteer, and many other services available in that particular app. When you click on volunteerism, it actually asks you to pick a particular county where you want to volunteer at.
Or where you come from. That
yes, so it actually depends where you come from or where you're frequently at or where you reside at.
Okay.
So then you pick that, and then what will happen is then it will automatically link you up with that particular branch, so that when you go to that branch physically, then you'll find your details already at that particular branch, that we are expecting this and this person to come and volunteer, and then you are inducted through that process of volunteerism at that particular branch, what activities they do, when they do them, and how you can come in and support. So it's very easy. And of course, from time to time, we also have that available also on our website, so someone can also click on our website and be able to join in as a volunteer.
All right. When you came in the back of your mind, what were the functions you were aware that as a volunteer I'll be doing? I know first responders is always in the back of everyone's mind.
Yes.
Indeed, whenever there's an accident, I'll be part of this team that will actually go for the rescue mission. Yes. But were you prepared for all this?
I wouldn't say I was prepared for all that. One thing I knew I was going in the right platform. So one thing for a fact, I knew I was going in the right platform, and this was the right platform for me as a young person in Kenya to grow. But in terms of being prepared, the good thing about what I came to learn later on is that the system in Kenya Red Cross volunteerism has a way of preparing someone for what they're good at eventually. And that's why we say we don't discriminate any person at the entry level. So that when you come in the system, there's always a system that ensures that someone goes in what they're good at. And for me, of course, initially I started all around. I was in I trained in first aid. I trained as a first responder in Nairobi. So talk of the major disasters around 2013 to 2014, of having responded in all of them. And later on, then I came to realize that my passion mostly is, even as I am responding, I'm very good at giving information. So they were like, you're very good at giving information. Why don't you then come in and we facilitate you and train you to be a trainer in terms of a disseminator for Kenya Red Cross. And that's exactly what I started doing in my volunteerism capacity. So I was a volunteer, so I would find myself every Monday from 2 to 4 at the same place throughout the year, because then that was when my session was there. And then, of course, from time to time being able to go probably public dissemination, forming school class. But the one thing is, the system prepares you.
Okay.
Just come in the system, it prepares you for whatever you want to do.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, imagine he came in as a volunteer and someone actually saw potential that he can be able to communicate and give him other responsibilities, and that's why he's now a trainer. Wow, interesting. So you can be a trainer too, you can be anything. We're taking a short break, but when we come back, he'll still be telling us about his experiences. As a volunteer, I know it's not that easy, but fast responding and all those disasters, all those difficult moments you'll have. So, well, Alex will be telling us more about this. Keep it Morning Live. Welcome back. If you're joining us right now, you're watching Morning Live right here on Switch TV, and of course in studio I'm with Alex Ayub from Volunteerism and Membership. That is, he's actually a young man who's taking us through how he managed to join the team and how he's traversing through the journey, and trust me, it's very interesting. Now back to you, Ban Ayub. You to tell us about now what you've encountered before.
Yes.
What are those experiences?
Yeah, so of course, as I had mentioned earlier on, is that when you join Kenya Red Cross, it's always a platform for you to give back to the society, and then it has a system in a way that it's able to mentor you and prepare you.
Yeah.
So I found myself, of course, going through what many people have found themselves as volunteers, becoming a responder in most of the major tragedies that happen, especially in Nairobi County. And I think for me, it starts with talking about when Westgate happened itself. And of course, the other thing around that is even when we had the fire at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, the team that was responding there, talking about Westgate when it happened, being a fast responder in that particular one, and even moving further to just also after a response, then talking about recovery where you had psychosocial support and also tracing and blood drive, of course. And also, the other thing that, one major thing that I actually keep in mind is the Gikomba blast. I think we usually say that was, Red Cross has recorded that was one of the fastest response ever, because then between the time the blast happened and between when response came in, it took 3 minutes, that is from Nairobi town to Gikomba.
Wow.
And that was one of the greatest responses that was done, of course, with the team leader being Hesbon Odhiambo, currently working with the Nairobi County Kenya Red Cross. Then we're talking about when the Garissa attack happened at the Garissa University. We were the team who are receiving the people who are affected in Nairobi here, and of course all through and tracing and linking them, with the family members, of course at Chiromo and various other sites. We're talking about the Mandera attacks that happened, again team that was here, and I've been part of this journey, and not mentioning the major some of the major traffic incidences, fire that happened within Nairobi and the community. And that is basically what made me gain a wholesome picture around what it really means to be a Kenya Red Cross a personnel, and basically saying a Red Crosser. Okay. And then it just tells me that there's so much that I could do, because looking at the journey, there's so much that as a young person, if well invested in, can do towards transforming their community. And that is not to mention the lives that have been saved through that process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the volunteerism aspect, what other opportunities has it given you maybe to interact with other people from all walks of life? Maybe you can give us some.
I usually say Kenya volunteerism doesn't pay, but volunteerism enables you to earn. Volunteerism gives you four major things, especially my own experiences. Volunteerism gives you an exposure. Okay. Because what happens with volunteerism, it means that every single day you find yourself in environments and platforms and within people who you might not have met before, or you might not meet in any other platform. And remember, with Kenya Red Cross volunteerism, it means we actually give you certain responsibilities and that identifies you as that particular person. Okay. So you realize, like for me later on, for moving from a fast responder to a disseminator, still as a volunteer, then it means in every platform I was going as a disseminator. And that exposure gave me a wide range of understanding around community problems and what was happening. The other thing that happens with volunteerism, it enables you to grow. Especially, again, I'll insist, for a young person. Because it means you're gaining, there's a lot of capacity building and strengthening in our system for volunteers. We ensure that before we actually engage you, or before we actually deploy you for a particular task, you have the right capacity, information, skill-wise, and knowledge to be able to deliver on that particular task. So that is a lot of growth for an individual, and the responsibilities you're given as a team leader in various and also leadership positions as a volunteer. That is already a growth for you. I also talk about volunteerism as an opportunity to network. the people I've met who usually say that sometimes there are people who actually have something that you need to succeed in this life, and they're outside there.
Sure.
But you have to know when to meet them and when do you meet them.
Destiny shapers.
Exactly,
Yeah.
your destiny shapers. And for me, I found those people through the network of Kenya Red Cross. Okay. It has enabled me to gain a lot of networking. I've traveled to different countries. I've been able to impact other people. And today, standing in as a national youth officer for Kenya Red Cross at the headquarters is another opportunity, saying that it was basically about networking and people getting to know what I can do and what I'm capable of doing as a young person. And of course, lastly, they just say that for volunteerism, it's a platform to shape what you want to become, because it doesn't dictate for you. You actually shape, you decide what you want to become in volunteerism with Kenya Red Cross. And that's why it's important for any young person who listens to us today to be able to find their way and join Kenya Red Cross as a volunteer.
Amazing. Talking about profile, I understand you're not able to be paid, but to earn is a very, very, very powerful one.
Yes.
But your profile as now Ayub,
Yes.
Are you confident with your profile?
I'll tell you for a fact, if there's anyone who's much more confident about who I am today and who I've become today, is myself, Alex. And the decision I've never regretted is the day I actually said, let me go and walk into this Red Cross office. Okay. I've grown through the system, and today I'm telling you, if you look at, especially for the better part of last year when we were doing something called G-Activate, which was basically a youth mobilization campaign, I was in that platform, and having been elected as the national vice president for G-Activate as a national youth movement, it gave me another platform where I was able to shape who I want to become. As a matter of fact, joining Red Cross as a volunteer, I was an engineering student.
Wow.
Somewhere along the way, I realized, look, I'm much more better disseminating principles of the Red Cross and being that one source of hub of information where everybody runs to. And then looking back, I'm like, no, I want to be a different person. I want to be a lawyer.
Interesting.
And in 2016, I went and started law in my first year. And today I'm in my 4th year, finishing law.
That's good stuff, man. Good
exactly.
Stuff. So there's an aspect of resilience in you also. Because an engineering student, now dropping that, going back to do law, another intensive course again.
Yes.
Engineering, of course, hands-on intensive.
Exactly.
Law again, too much reading, intensive.
Yeah.
And at 4th year, you're almost a KSL material very, very soon.
Yes.
Now, there's an aspect of also leadership in you.
Exactly.
Maybe you can give us maybe the tactics you've been using to maneuver through. Already volunteer, leader, disseminating.
Yes.
There's so much happening in your life
around,
right now. The factor tamish aspects also in you.
Yes.
Tell us, how have you been able to maneuver to give people the confidence to trust you? That's the most, you know,
exactly.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Vijana huku nje bana.
Yes.
It's very slippery.
Yes.
Now, how are you able to actually tell these guys, hey, you can trust me, I can do it?
I think that's quite a very interesting question, because one thing I came to realize is that when you go out and say, I'm here, I'm willing, I'm ready, especially to learn, then you realize then that there's what you call, for me, I believe in the law of attraction. So you actually attract the kind of things you think about, and the kind of things you actually say, these are the things I want.
Absolutely.
Like the moment I say that I want to be an athlete, I start meeting people who are in the coaches, athletes, and all that kind of things. So when I said I wanted to become a person who influences my community positively through the Red Cross platform, I started seeing these things coming. So the open mind to say I want to learn then allows you to actually learn. Number 2, there's a very high level, to gain trust of people, you must be very, very humble.
Sure.
Humility is a very, very key aspect. Again, it challenges us young people because we want to prove that we know. And in most cases, we say that we might have information, but we lack the experience. Because the experience for me is like application of the knowledge that you have. So being humble enough allows you to learn from so many people. Because there's so many things that people know that you don't know. And it gives you much more advantage if you're just to be able to be humble and listen in. And lastly, one of the other things that I've come to realize is, for people following me on social media, they always call me a climbing wolf, because that's one of the things I usually do. I usually say I'm a climbing wolf. And for me, it comes from the statement that a wolf on the hill is a wolf on the hill is not as angry as the wolf climbing the hill. Because you are a young person who is trying to gain, you're trying to decide, what does my future look like? What do I want? The best you can do is the kind of what you've just called resilient. That there are going to be challenges, there are going to be a lot of mountains and valleys to go through. But one thing you're saying is that if you know the end from the beginning, that eventually I want to be this person, then you can go through anything.
Amazing.
Because you're a climbing wolf.
Amazing.
And that's exactly who I am.
Ah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, membership. Yeah, I understand you have to pay some amount.
Yes.
Depending on how your pocket is.
Yes.
How does actually that go through?
So just picking it up from the conversation of being a volunteer, you've said, okay, I want to go and volunteer with this Kenya Red Cross. And then you realize, I think these are very, as most people have done, realize that it's a very interesting institution and I want to be part and parcel of this institution from the word go.
Sure.
So what people usually do is then they say, I want to subscribe to membership. I want to be a part and parcel.
Yeah.
So you pay certain subscription fees where you say that I'm honored because Kenya Red Cross is actually a national society. It's a membership organization owned by members themselves. So you actually say then, I want to be a member. And we have different categories of membership for different people. So you find that because for Kenya Red Cross, youth starts from the age of 7 up to 30 years, as opposed to what government has from 18 to 35. So for Kenya Red Cross, talk about 7 to 30. And for a young person in primary school, basically from 7 up to around 10 and basically 12, 13, we have what we call youth in school membership. It's 100 shillings every year. And the subscription is done through your school. So you're able to come at a school and register the youth there. And we have programs for those youths who are actually, we call them adolescent youth, who are actually in the schools. Then we have what we also call for youth out of school. Here we're talking about people above the age of 18. Most of them are in the tertiary institutions, universities and colleges, and some of them are probably outside the learning institutions. 18 to 30, you call it it's youth out of school. It's 500 shillings every year. Again, this subscription is done at a branch or through a university or a college chapter. You have what we call university chapters and club chapters, college chapters. Then the other one, we have what we call an ordinary member, where you're saying, okay, I'm above the age of 30, but I still want to be a member of this organization at the annual subscription.
Sure.
It's 1,000 shillings every year. Again, this is done embedded at a particular Kenya Red Cross branch within the 47 counties. Then there's one where you're saying, I think I've learned this institution, I love it, and I want to be part and parcel for it for life. This is life membership, and it's 5,000 Kenyan shillings.
Wow, life membership.
Yes, 5,000 Kenyan shillings. You have registered as a member. You're a member at any branch, as opposed to the other branches, type of membership where you actually limited to your particular branch. As a life member of Kenya Red Cross, you can go to any branch in any county and still remain as a member. And the advantages that comes with it, one of the things is all of them you get a certificate for your membership. And the other thing we say that for a life member, you also get a life membership badge for Kenya Red Cross that actually identifies you as a Red Cross member. And the advantages about it is that then you become part and parcel of the institution, where you can actually say, I want to participate in its leadership. So like 2019 is an election year for Kenya Red Cross, and it's only members who can vie. They take up leadership position both as a youth leader in a county, as a main board leader in a particular county, and across the 8 region and both nationally. So you become the owner of the institution as a member.
What are the benefits for this young person who's just joined with the 500 bob, 1,000 bob, in a university, college somewhere, at home? What are the benefits?
One thing I can tell for a young person is that if someone gives you an opportunity to lead or to use what you have to lead, then I think that person has given you the best gift in life. And Kenya Red Cross youth member is actually been given that particular opportunity. Such that I say, I want to vie as a youth leader in Turkana County. And the members there, if you convince them, the youth members there, they will elect you as their youth leader, because you must be a member first. And being a youth leader then, there's a lot of capacity building. Immediately after elections, usually the next thing we do is governance and leadership for all elected leaders. So the first thing is capacity building for a leader who has been elected. And remember, again, it goes back to respect on you being a member, eventually, in the first place. There are numerous opportunities, again, where we say exposure and an international representation, both national and international representation that we give to members as a youth. So we say that, okay, you are a member of Kenya Red Cross. We have this opportunity. We have probably a conference somewhere, whether it's within Kenya, within East Africa, Africa, or internationally. We will send you, as long as probably you meet certain qualifications again. So this, again, is an opportunity for a young person. The other thing we are saying is that you become part and parcel of decision-making as a young person. Because our Kenya Red Cross structures have been embedded in a way that we recognize youth as leaders and recognize youth decision-making and meaningful engagement in the mainstream organization. Such that if you have the Kenya Red Cross main National Executive Committee that sits at the Kenya Red Cross headquarters, This executive committee has one person who is the national youth chairperson, who is an automatic member. So again, as a member of Kenya Red Cross, you're actually involved in the decision making of your community as such, and of course of Kenya Red Cross as a leader. And not to mention the many other experiences that you learn, then that comes to you depending on who you want to become within the organization.
Yeah. Wow, amazing. Now for you, as a young leader, do you believe in the principles of servant leadership, or are you this person who, when you've been given that responsibility, you'll start flexing your muscles and just showing guys, indeed, I'm a leader in the open, thumping your chest, showing guys, hey guys, you're commanding people around. You know what I mean? Eh?
I know,
yeah. So, and then also, do you believe in confrontation?
Quite interesting questions. From experience, my own experience, initially I actually thought that leadership is all about proving that you can do it.
Yeah.
But with time, I actually came to realize that a leader is someone who actually, you do most of learning than actually commanding. And my leadership experience within Kenya Red Cross has always been very funny, because at any particular time I've always found there's always that one person who I'm one step behind. Yeah. So leadership for me is about taking the stairs and not the lift. It's about taking one stair at a time. As you learn also. As you learn. And one of my greatest mentors, who is actually Shadrach Musioka, has always told me that when you're actually coming in as a leader and as a young person, you should be able to work to learn other than to work to earn. And that is one thing that I always tell people. It's about servant leadership. It's about being able to say, let's do this other than go and do this. It's yes.
Yeah, you've touched on something that, you know, you learn to earn.
You work to learn.
Just come
It's about working to learn other than working to earn.
Absolutely. That's so powerful.
Yes.
Now, we're used to young men out here who have graduated 4 years, 3 years in university. After a campus, they want well-paying jobs. Maybe just advice for them, because understand it's not easy out here.
Yeah.
Your final advice for them?
Life is tough. That is a fact. And because life is tough, then we tend to be driven towards looking for short-term solutions to things. The problem with short-term solutions, they never last long.
Yeah, sure.
So the one thing I can tell people is trust the system. When talking about trusting the system, especially coming in as a young person, is saying, don't want to go in a building using the lifts. And because even during an emergency, they always tell you, in case of an emergency, use the stairs, don't use the lift. So take the stairs, learn as you go up the ladder. It might not look like promising, and I always tell people it's not logical at the beginning, but at the end, the dots connect looking backwards. So when you're starting it, you might not see the end, but when you are there, eventually you'll actually realize why I was taking this process. So the thing is, keep your head down, have a lot of humility and respect for the system, and at the same time, just be able to be open-minded. And like you had asked about confrontation, speak your mind, of course. Speak your mind. But then the other question is then, what is the intention of speaking your mind? Do you speak so that you can humiliate, or do you speak so that you can inform, so that the whole team is better together? And that's basically what I can tell young people.
Final advice for someone who wants to join the volunteerism club and everything? Quick one.
Welcome to our Kenya Red Cross offices across our 47 counties. You can reach out to us. We have our social media platforms. Kenya Red Cross on Twitter, at Red Cross KE on Instagram, and Kenya Red Cross Society on Facebook. So please reach out to us. If you're not able to physically go there, reach out to us or write an email to youth@redcross. We'll be able to advise you and link you up the branch.
Thank you very much, Ayub. Very powerful insight, and all the best in your leadership positions. Continue soaring high.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick, for having me.
We're taking a short break. When you come back, now I want to take a look on what's happening in our sports world. Well, I'll leave you actually before we take the break with this quote that spend life with who makes you happy, not who you have to impress. Spend life with who makes you happy, not who you want to impress. Sporting action will be coming through.